to fulfill them. More importantly, you're here because you've committed to something greater than yourselves. You're here not just because of your academic and extracurricular activities and achievements, but because of what you've done to give back to your schools and to your communities. Your willingness to serve is critical for all that lies ahead once you finish your education. Because the truth is, pretty soon, the responsibilities for building our future will fall to all of you. Soon, we're going to be looking to your generation to make the discoveries and build the industries that will shape our world for decades to come. We'll be looking to you to protect our planet. We're going to be looking to you to lift up our most vulnerable citizens. We're going to be looking to you to heal the divisions that too often keep us apart. And I believe that you and your peers around the world are more than up to the challenge. Because I've seen it firsthand right here in India. Just yesterday, I had the wonderful opportunity to visit an organization called Make a Difference. It's an amazing program designed and run by young adults who recruit other young people, outstanding college students like themselves, to mentor and teach children who, as the founder said, haven't had the same chances in life as many of the mentors have had. These young volunteers understand and believe in something very simple, that all children, regardless of their circumstances, deserve the same chance to get educated and to build productive and successful lives. And I know that many of you here today are doing equally important work in your communities and your schools. Everything from holding camps for kids in need, to teaching computer literacy skills, to finding new ways to conserve energy. And let me tell you, this work is amazing, and it is vitally important. And that is why, as First Lady, I have tried my best to engage young people, not just in the United States, but around the world, letting them know that we believe in them, but more importantly, that we need them. We need you. We need you to help solve the great challenges of our time. And that's also why, when my husband travels abroad, he doesn't just meet with heads of state in parliaments and in palaces. He always meets with young people like all of you. That's why he's been working to expand educational exchanges and partnerships between the United States, India, and countries around the world. Right now, more Indian students like you come to study in the United States than from any other country. And I'm proud to see that so many American students are doing the same thing right here in India, building the types of friendships and relationships that will last a lifetime. Our hope is to provide more Indian and American young people with these types of opportunities to continue to connect and share ideas and experiences. And finally, my husband is also working to encourage young entrepreneurs everywhere to start businesses, to improve the health of our communities, and to empower our young women and girls. Because it is never too late or too early to start changing this world for the better. So I want to end today by congratulating you all, congratulating you on everything you're doing. We are so proud of you. I want to encourage you to keep dreaming. Keep dreaming big, huge, gigantic dreams, not just for yourselves, but for your communities and for our world. And finally, I want to urge you today to ask my husband some tough questions, all right? Be tough. He loves doing events like this. This brightens his day, but you got to keep him on his toes, all right? So, if you promise me that, without further ado, I would like to introduce my husband, the President of the United States, Barack Obama.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Everybody, please have a seat. Have a seat. Namaste. It is such a pleasure to be here. Now, I have to say, first of all, I don't like speaking after Michelle because she's very good. Also because she teases me. You notice how she said for you to all ask tough questions. If you want to ask easy questions, that's fine. But on behalf of Michelle and me, I want to thank St. Xavier's University. I want to thank Rector D'Souza. I want to thank Principal, I want to get this right, Moscar Enas. But it's a little smoother than that when you say it. I want to thank Vice Principal Amonkar and all of you for being such gracious hosts. And I know it's hot out here today. For you to be so patient with me, I'm very grateful to you. I also want to thank the city of Mumbai and the people of India for giving us such an extraordinary welcome. In a few minutes, I'll take some questions. I come here not just to speak, but also to listen. I want to have a dialogue with you. And this is one of the wonderful things that I have a chance to do as President of the United States. When I travel, we always try to set up a town hall meeting where we can interact with the next generation, because I want to hear from you. I want to find out what your dreams are, what your fears are, what your plans are for your country. But if you will indulge me, I also want to say a few words about why I'm so hopeful about the partnership between our two countries, and why I wanted to spend some of my time here in India speaking directly to young people like yourselves. Now, as Michelle said, we have both looked forward to this visit to India for quite some time. We have an extraordinary amount of respect for the rich and diverse civilization that has thrived here for thousands of years. We've drawn strength from India's 20th century independence struggle, which helped inspire America's own civil rights movement. We've marveled at India's growing economy and its dynamic democracy. And we have personally enjoyed a wonderful friendship with Prime Minister Singh and Mrs. Kaur over the last 2 years. But of course, I'm not just here to visit. I'm here because the partnership between India and the United States, I believe, has limitless potential to improve the lives of both Americans and Indians, just as it has the potential to be an anchor of security and prosperity and progress for Asia and for the world. The U.S.-India relationship will be indispensable in shaping the 21st century. And the reason why is simple. As two great powers, and as the world's two largest democracies, the United States and India share common interests and common values. Values of self-determination and equality. Values of tolerance and a belief in the dignity of every human being. Already on this trip, I've seen those shared interests and values firsthand. We share a commitment to see that the future belongs to hope and not fear. And I was honored to stay at the Taj Hotel, the site of the 26/11 attacks. And yesterday, in meetings with some of the survivors, I saw firsthand the resilience of the Indian people in overcoming tragedy, just as I reaffirmed our close cooperation in combating terrorism and violent extremism in all of its forms. We also share struggles for justice and equality. I was humbled to visit Mani Bhava, where Gandhi helped move India and the world through the strength and dignity of his leadership. We share a commitment to see that this era after globalization leads to greater opportunity for all our people. And so yesterday at a summit of business leaders and entrepreneurs, we discussed the potential for greater economic cooperation between our two countries. Cooperation that create jobs and opportunity through increased trade and investment, unleashing the potential of individuals in both our countries. And even as we are countries that look to the future with optimism, Americans and Indians draw strength from tradition and from faith. This morning, Michelle and I enjoyed the chance to join young people here in Mumbai to celebrate Diwali, a holiday that is observed not just here in India, but also in the United States, where millions of Indian Americans have enriched our country. I have to point out, by the way, if those of you had a chance to see Michelle dance, she was moving. And it was just an extraordinary gift for these young people to perform and share this wonderful tradition with us. Tomorrow in New Delhi, I'll have the opportunity to meet with Prime Minister Singh and many other leaders, and I'll have the privilege to address your Parliament. And there I will discuss in greater detail our efforts to broaden and deepen our cooperation and make some specific announcements on important issues like counterterrorism and regional security, on clean energy and climate change, and on the advance of economic growth and development and democracy around the globe. Now, just as the sights I've seen and the people I've met here in Mumbai speak to our common humanity, the common thread that runs through the different issues that our countries cooperate on is my determination to take the partnership between our two countries to an entirely new level. Because the United States does not just believe, as some people say, that India is a rising power. We believe that India has already risen. India is taking its rightful place in Asia and on the global stage. And we see India's emergence as good for the United States and good for the world. But India's future won't simply be determined by powerful CEOs and political leaders. Just as I know that the ties among our people aren't limited to contacts between our corporations and our governments. And that's why I wanted to speak to all of you today, because India's future will be determined by you and by young people like you across this country. You are the future leaders. You are the future innovators and the future educators. You're the future entrepreneurs and the future elected officials. In this country of more than 1 billion people, more than half of all Indians are under 30 years old. That's an extraordinary statistic, and it's one that speaks to a great sense of possibility. Because in a democracy like India's or America's, every single child holds within them the promise of greatness, and every child should have the opportunity to achieve that greatness. And most of you are probably close to 20 years old. Just think how the world has changed in those 20 years. India's economy has grown at a breathtaking rate. Living standards have improved for hundreds of millions of people. Your democracy has weathered assassination and terrorism. And meanwhile, around the globe, the Cold War is a distant memory, and a new order has emerged, one that's reflected in the 20 members of the G20 that will come together in Seoul next week, as countries like India assume a greater role on the world stage. So now the future of this country is in your hands. And before I take your questions, I want you to consider 3 questions I have for you. Questions about what the next 20 years will bring. First, what do you want India to look like in 20 years? Nobody else can answer this question but you. It's your destiny to write. One of the great blessings of living in a democracy is that you can always improve the democracy. As our founding fathers wrote in the United States, you can always forge a more perfect union. But if you look at India's last 20 years, it's hard not to see the future with optimism. You have the chance to lift another several hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. Grow even more this enormous middle class that can